Welcome to Learning to Glow, a show about wellness, skin health, and self-development. I'm your host, Jess. I'm a mom, entrepreneur, and skincare expert. I'm so excited to share tips on how to achieve healthy skin and bring amazing guests in the field of health, fitness, aging gracefully, and personal growth. Let's explore all different ways we can take care of ourselves as women, both inside and out, to truly shine. So let's get glowing. Hello and welcome to Learning to Glow. This week we are exploring the incredible benefits of lymphatic drainage therapy. Our guest expert, Jenna Bradshaw, is a massage therapist and yoga teacher with over 15 years of experience in the health and wellness field. She has been specializing in lymphatic drainage therapy for over a decade and has over 800 hours of yoga education. She is the founder of Lymph Light Wellness Center in Tustin, California, where she offers, in addition to hands-on treatment, lymphatic education and consultation for all clients, health practitioners, yoga teachers, and the like. She has a near obsession with this elusive and undervalued system and loves educating anyone she meets on the importance of the lymphatic system and the power of our breath and daily habits to influence it. Jenna and I dive into the world of the lymphatic system and discover how specialized techniques such as manual lymphatic drainage and compression therapy can unlock the body's natural healing potential. From enhancing immune function, we talk about reducing inflammation, supporting overall wellness. We talk about all of the advantages of incorporating lymphatic therapy into your health routine. Jenna is such a wealth of knowledge. I learned so much in this episode. I'm actually also a client of Jenna's. I met her in 2021 when I had had surgery and I really wanted to speed up my recovery. I was told to get a lymphatic drainage treatment, and I found her because she has a great reputation. She really knows her stuff, and she's been doing it for a really long time. So if you are in Orange County, California, you can check out her website. It's lymphlight.com, and you can also find her on Instagram. I'll link all of this in the show notes, and try a treatment there. Look at her website. There's so many different really cool therapies that they offer that are complementary to the specific type of treatment that Jenna does. And I hope you enjoy this episode. It is such a good one. And here is Jenna. Jenna, thank you so much for being on the podcast today. How are you?
I'm good. Thank you so much for having me. I'm so excited to be here.
I'm so excited you're here as well. I like to start every podcast with just if you could tell us a little bit about yourself, your background, what you do, all of that good stuff.
Okay. So I am a lymphatic drainage therapist. And essentially what that means is that I'm a massage therapist by trade, and I've chosen to specify and specialize in lymphatic drainage therapy, which is a light touch technique that's good for immunity and detoxification and all that stuff we can get into later. So I've been doing lymphatic drainage for about a little over a decade, but I've always really been interested in health and wellness and all that stuff. So I've got, a BA in psychology and health, and I've done health coaching before. I've worked on a farm before. I've done a lot of different things in this kind of health and wellness realm, but at some point was really drawn to massage therapy because I really just wanted to help people and actually connect with people and all that stuff. So yeah.
I love it. And you have given me many treatments, and I think I'm gonna have you back after my series. We should do a before and after type of podcast episode, because I have been working with you to get my health back in order, and it is already making such a huge difference. So since we're talking about that, let's start with kind of a basic overview. What your specialty is lymphatic drainage therapy. So what is the lymphatic system? Why is it so important that we are keeping it healthy and functioning?
Yeah, so the way I like to describe the lymphatic system is that it's essentially the second half of your circulatory system. If you can imagine your heart, and your heart is pumping blood, there's one way that blood leaves your heart, so that's your arteries, and then there's two ways that blood returns to your heart. We've got our veins, or that venous return, and we have the lymphatic system. So what happens on this microscopic level is that every day a certain amount of fluid, toxins, proteins, bacteria, debris, and you name it, escapes from the bloodstream and hangs out in this interstitial space. And then that's where the lymph capillaries that run completely parallel to your blood system absorb that fluid. And that's essentially how we get lymphatic fluid. It's just named for where it is in the body. So essentially, your lymphatic system cleans your blood. The lymphatic system is a one-way system from anywhere in your body back to your heart. So whether it's your leg or your pelvis or your shoulder, this fluid travels on a one-way system, and this fluid will make its way through many different lymph nodes along this path back to your heart. And lymph nodes are really where the magic of your immunity and your detoxification happen. So about 80% of all of our white blood cells in our body are located in our lymphatic system, and most of those are located in the lymph nodes. And so we've got our B cells that create antibodies, we've got our T cells that destroy pathogens. So what will happen is that this fluid will travel through these lymph nodes, and the lymph nodes will decide and identify what needs to be destroyed and what is safe to let by. And so essentially, when we think about detoxification and immunity, the magic happens here in your lymphatic system. It's such an integral system for our health, for our body being able to maintain homeostasis. And once that fluid then returns back to the bloodstream, and it does so right above your clavicles, that's kind of the end of the lymphatic system. From there, anything that's considered metabolic waste will leave your body in one of four pathways. So we call these our drainage pathways. We've got our bladder, our bowel, our skin, and our lungs. So to clarify further, your liver will dump into your bowel, and your kidneys will filter into your bladder.
It's funny because you see a lot of people talking about this online. They're talking about ways to move your lymph and all of these different things. And I see a lot of people talking about maybe dry brushing or sauna. You were the first person that I learned that you can do it with your breath too.
Yes. And I feel like I could talk about this, just the breath, for like a whole hour. I should really give you a little bit of background. So in addition to being a massage therapist, I am a yoga teacher as well. And I really see the lymphatic system through that lens sometimes. So a lot of people, especially in the kind of Instagram and social media realm, will talk about this idea that the lymphatic system has no pump, that, we need to get on this rebounder or skin brush or, whatever else you want to do to support the lymphatic system. And while all of those things are amazing for the lymphatic system, it really discounts the largest pump of your lymphatic system, which is your breath. By and large. In fact, there was a doctor in the 90s that studied the lymphatic system and imaged the thoracic duct, which is the largest lymphatic duct that runs kind of parallel to your aorta. And what he found was that the breath pumped the lymphatic system 15 times more than even exercise. So there is something about the deep, steady rhythm of a kind of true deep breath that is so supportive of the lymph. And just briefly, I'll share two main reasons for that. So the first one is that the breath acts as like a vacuum for the end of the lymphatic system. As you take a breath, we talked about how the end of the lymph is right above your clavicles or your collarbones. So when you take a breath, it's like acting as suction for the end of the lymph. And since it's a one-way system, it helps the entire system move more efficiently. The second reason is we talked about there's 4 different ways that the metabolic waste that the lymph processes leaves your body. One of those ways is the lungs. So really, the lungs are a detoxifying organ. Just that exchange of gases is detox. And so if we're taking deeper, fuller breaths, including fuller exhales, then we have the opportunity every day with every breath to release more metabolic waste and help the lymph kind of drain out of our system.
That's great. That's definitely something that I hadn't heard before you told me that. And I think it's such an interesting thing. You also have a YouTube video that I'm going to post at the end in the show notes, because I started doing that just to help with my lymph and trying to get that functioning properly. How would you tell people what other ways? So like we talked about how important the breath is and a little bit about some of the other things, but as far as promoting a healthy lymph, system and maintaining that, what are other key things that we can do?
So yes, there are so many things we can do. And I would say big picture, I really share 3 different categories of ways that we can support the lymph. So the first one is to just move your lymph more efficiently, right? So anything that we engage in that helps the lymph move faster. So those would be things like breathing, as I just talked about, but also muscle movement. And really, anytime you move your body, right? The contraction of the muscle, since the lymph is right on top of it, or a lot of it is right on top of it. Anytime you move your lymph, or excuse me, you move your body, the lymph in whatever area you're moving kind of moves by default. And then the other big category of that is compression and pressure. We don't think about this one too much because it can be more specific to people with lymph disorders like lymphedema, but compression, and that could be wearing compression pants like a type of yoga pants, or even swimming. So the pressure of the water can help support your lymph moving more efficiently, which is why so many people feel really good in the water.
I didn't know that about the
Yeah.
swimming. That's so interesting.
So yeah, the really cool thing about the lymphatic system is that it's really not gravity dependent, it is pressure dependent, which sounds like such an odd thing to specify, but whereas if you have some like excess blood circulation and it might be pooling in your legs and you elevate your feet, that's really going to help that blood come back down towards the heart. However, if it's lymph that's congested and it's lymph that's really accumulating in your legs, then legs up the wall or just elevating your legs in general is really not going to do the trick, right? We need pressure, which is why the gentle pressure of lymphatic drainage therapy, which we'll probably talk about later, is so effective to help to move the lymph. Another category of supportive lymphatic practices is really just reducing your toxic load. And that is such a huge one, especially in this day and age. I sound like such an old fuddy-duddy saying that, but in this day and age, there's so much, we're exposed to so many toxins, unfortunately. So just the simple act of reducing our toxic load in any way that we can is going to help the lymph have less to do. It's really going to just like ease its burden, right? Ease its load. Some simple examples would be personal care products, things like deodorants, even cleaners that we use in our house, dryer sheets. I mean, gosh, the list could go on forever. Choosing organic foods opposed to foods made with pesticides, chemical cleaners. I think I said that one already. Pesticides that you might use for your lawn. Gosh, even clothing, right? So the big thing right now is like forever chemicals and yoga pants, unfortunately. And oh gosh, the list could go on. But just doing your best to reduce the amount of harsh chemicals that you are using in your home or putting on your body, especially things that absorb into your body like lotions, which, oh my gosh, such a nice perfect time to plug what you do, because you really focus on creating high quality organic skincare that is that's just very pure, that our body doesn't have to process in the same way as something that's highly toxic.
Yeah, thank you. And when I first started looking into getting more healthy when my son was real little, those were kind of like my 3 areas. I feel like I started with food. And I'm like, okay, let's make sure what I'm eating. And you can't be perfect, right? You don't want to be, you want to strive for as good as you can do. But I really took a look at that first. And then I looked at some of my cleaning products. Now there's more options. But back then I was like making laundry detergent. Oh my gosh. I was doing the most. And then, yeah, the skincare part of it where I was like, okay, like this is a huge thing that we do on a daily basis and multiple times a day, and let's make it as clean as we can, just so we're like minimizing that overall load, because there are things in our environment we have no control over. So it's like what we can control, like definitely I think that's important to do.
Yeah, absolutely. And especially, I know that's such a cliche thing to say, but your skin is your largest organ and you wouldn't want to put anything on it that you wouldn't, also eat or whatever they say, but just it's absorbing right into your skin, right into the bloodstream. Totally.
Yeah.
So, and just to wrap this up, then the third main category of how to support your lymph is to support the drainage pathways. So I mentioned those 4 drainage pathways: the bladder, the bowel, the skin, and the lungs. And so, we want to make sure that the one-way system of the lymph is moving efficiently. The blockages are releasing. However, once it's back into your bloodstream, we really want to make sure that those 4 pathways are open so that everything that the lymph identifies and kind of helps to destroy is released from your body. So that would be, sweating regularly, drinking clean water, making sure you're drinking enough, that you're peeing enough, plenty of fiber, and supporting digestion in any way possible. So fiber, especially soluble fiber, because that's going to really help. There's some specific detox pathways in the liver that need soluble fiber, as well as castor oil packs. So that's something we actually just started offering at the clinic because it can help just to help the liver to bowel drainage pathway. And then breathing, of course, another plug for breathing.
I love it. There's many ways that we can support our lymph. And you see a lot of clients who maybe need help with that. They're congested or their lymph isn't working properly. So what do you see? Like, what are some of the side effects that you see if someone is kind of dealing with that congestion and their lymph system isn't working like it should?
Oh gosh, yes, so many things. I'll start with our largest organ, skin. I see a lot of different types of skin issues. Gosh, I almost feel like any type of skin issue can be related. It can be kind of have a lymphatic cause. Acne, really any kind of breakouts, rashes, eczema. With the rashes, I'll just say one thing. Rashes are one of these mysterious things, right? And like hives, and but I think it's really cool to have a different perspective on it. That when something comes out your skin, it's usually because the other drainage pathways are not working properly. And the body, being very smart, thinks, I got to get this out. How do I get this out? And it just like right out the skin. That's the best way I can describe it. And so I think about a lot of skin conditions, and I wouldn't totally put eczema in this category because that is a little bit more of an autoimmune condition. However, when I see someone come in with like a rash or the like, I think, look what your body did. Your body is so smart. So suffice to say, a lot of different kinds of skin conditions for sure. And then really the more physical signs of lymphatic congestion would be swelling, any kind of bloating or water retention, constipation, and then things related to our immune system that show up a little bit more like that, like enlarged tonsils, fibroids, cysts. And then, if you think about your brain fog, just in general, we have a whole lymphatic system in our brain. And if it doesn't drain properly at night, then we can get a lot of brain fog. Oh gosh, what else? Fatigue. Most autoimmune conditions have a lymphatic correlation with them. And I would say the research doesn't even know why exactly yet, but it is so highly correlated that if someone comes in with some kind of autoimmune condition, they also present with extreme lymphatic congestion. It happens almost exclusively every time in my practice. And so lymphatic drainage is often a great treatment to help people, improve their autoimmune conditions and occasionally have them go into remission.
I have a question. Earlier, you said something about immunity, right? So the lymph and how it's related to immunity. My question is, in the past, I've like been the person who gets sick all the time. And is that just like your immune system is a little bit lowered, and it could be, I mean, obviously it could be correlated to the lymph being stuck or not functioning properly or like as up to par as it should. Is that like something that you see too, or no?
Yeah. No, that's such a good question. Okay, here's the thing. I would say getting sick, you don't want to never get sick, right? So think about what getting sick is. It's our body's ability to raise our temperature, and kind of help kill off a virus or bacteria. It's our body's ability to enhance the lungs as a drainage pathway and get more gunk out of the lungs. So it's a really good thing that that happens. So what if you see it as a continuum, you really want to be in the middle. You want to get sick a little bit, but you want the body's ability to fight off infection to be strong enough that you're not getting sick all the time. But when people say, oh, I'm never sick, I haven't been sick in 5 years, that's a red flag to me. That, oh, like, is your body able to have a fever? Is your body able to kick out some stuff when it needs to, kick out whatever, bacteria is hanging out in the lungs? And so don't know if I want to put a number on it. Maybe, twice a year, once a year, you get sick. Oh, that's a good amount. Your body knows what to do, but does it and then it's done. Versus what you're talking about, this idea that, oh, I'm getting sick all the time. That could be that your body's ability to fight off whatever is going on, the reaction isn't quite as strong, right? It's not strong enough. So it kind of keeps on happening, right? Yeah. So when you're getting sick more often, it's really your body is having a harder time getting to that level of the fever and kicking everything out. Yeah. Ideally, you're kind of in that middle, right? You know that your body is able to get sick and able to do its job, but you're not getting sick so much that it's a sign that maybe it doesn't quite have enough oomph to do what it needs to do. Does that make sense?
Totally. And it's interesting because when I was in my 20s, I was sick all the time and I was very stressed and I was kind of living a lifestyle that was not great. And I went to a doctor and I said that I get sick a lot. And he's like, you were just born with a bad immune system. And that's why you always get sick. This is like genetic. And I was like, oh no. And he was I had to go to Newport Beach to go see him. He was one of the best doctors. And I was like, wow. But also, every time I got sick at that time, I would go to urgent care and get put on antibiotics, which obviously that's another conversation. But no one ever said, what's your stress level? And like, what's your toxic load? Or it was interesting. It was more of that you're just born with this. And I mean, it's interesting. I'm talking about it now too, because I'm getting over a cold, but I definitely don't get sick like I used to. And my immune system is really strengthened. So obviously that's not an accurate diagnosis from that man.
We should call him up.
I know. I should be like, I think something has changed. What I was born with has changed. Yeah, exactly.
Oh my gosh. Oh gosh. And I could go on a whole tangent about doctors and their view of the lymphatic system and immune system and or lack thereof perhaps. But yeah, that's just a testament to, taking care of your body, right?
Yeah. So let's talk about lymphatic drainage therapy, because I have seen you. The first time I found you was because I had a surgery and I wanted to not remove all of the toxins from the surgery, but just heal. And that was one of the things that was recommended to me. And when I tell people that I'm going to see you, it's hard for me to explain what it is that I'm actually doing. So tell us about lymphatic drainage therapy and what you do and all your magic.
Okay. Do some people think, oh, does that involve needles? I get that sometimes. Like, are you actually draining?
I think people think that it's a massage. Just a massage. Like they think because massage is good for the lymph, I'm sure. But I'm like, no, I mean, it's different than that. So let's hear what you say. And then I'll know what to say next time.
Yeah. So lymphatic drainage is a very light touch body work technique. So essentially, you could say it is like a massage, right? You're on a massage table. It's very relaxing. It's not like you're not in like a medical office. It's still very similar to a nice body work treatment. The difference is that we are working in many ways more superficial. We're working right underneath the skin, which is where about 80% of all of the lymph fluid is at any given time in your body. And the focus of lymphatic drainage is to help support the lymph in moving more effectively, breaking up blockages in the system that we find, and helping the nervous system relax. Definitely, it is a very relaxing treatment. And I would say it is, again, I've kind of touched on this a couple times. It's really good for your immunity and for detoxification. I'll say one more thing about immunity. So anytime that you increase the rate that the fluid moves through your lymph nodes, you send signals to your body to create new white blood cells. So every time you're getting a lymph drainage, or really any time that you are doing something on your own to move your lymph, you are improving your body's ability to fight off infection, right? With those extra white blood cells. In a more general way as well, I think inflammation is a really big buzzword these days. A lot of inflammation does live in the lymph and in our lymphatic system, and specifically in that waiting area where the lymph, or where I should say where the fluid is before it gets absorbed into the lymph capillary. And we can call this our interstitial space, our extracellular matrix, our fascia, whatever you want to call it. It's just kind of this like these highways of connective tissue in our body. And that's where a lot of the inflammation that people who have chronic inflammation will experience it. And lymphatic drainage is so good for reducing inflammation, which is why it's so good post-surgery, right? I mean, anytime your body goes through a trauma like that, it has acute inflammation. The lymph is such an important thing to address and focus on during that time. But so many people live with chronic inflammation, and lymph drainage is very good for that as well.
That's something that a lot of people come to see you for. Do people just in general with your clientele say, I just want to come in and get healthy? Or do they say, I have this specific issue and I want to come and see you and work on that? Or is it just like a mix of everything?
Yes, it's definitely all of the above. I would say my biggest category of client right now is definitely chronic conditions, unfortunately, chronically ill, right? So mostly autoimmune conditions. However, even things like Lyme disease that isn't quite autoimmune, but presents similarly. People with a toxicity of some sort, so heavy metal toxicity or mold exposure. And then I do have a subset of clientele that are just like, I want to stay healthy. I want to come in and really just support my overall health and stay healthy. And that would be an ideal place for everyone to come from. But I know, so many people are definitely navigating some other type of condition or issue. And I would say the lymph drainage is good for almost all of it. And I will add that the way I like to describe this to my clients is that the really cool thing is we don't even have to know exactly what's going on in the body. We don't, because since the lymphatic system plays such an integral role in our body's ability to heal and find homeostasis and bring itself back into balance, all we're doing in treatment is we are supporting the lymphatic system. We're clearing out the system, creating more space so that the body can take over, right? Our bodies are healing machines. Their number one directive, their only directive is to maintain balance, is to find homeostasis, is to heal. And oftentimes it's congestion in the lymphatic system that is hindering this process. So the really cool thing is getting to work on someone, helping their system work more effectively, and then just get to see how the body prioritizes healing. It's really not up to us, which is a really cool thing, but also a frustrating thing sometimes. So
it's such a good way to look at it. And another thing that I saw in your treatment that I've never seen before anywhere else that I thought you could you could explain it to us, is your equipment that you use, the LymphStar Pro.
Yeah. So this is a really cool device. I have been using this in my practice for almost a decade, and it looks like little lightsabers, would you say?
Yes.
So these little wands that you hold, and it sounds a little funny, maybe like aliens or something, but it doesn't hurt at all. And essentially these treatment heads are just little light bulbs, little like oblong light bulbs. And the magic happens because inside these light bulbs, we have light and sound and noble gases. And the noble gases, when it touches your skin through the bulb, it repolarizes your fluid. And so what that means is that we talked about that interstitial space, that space in between the blood capillary and the lymph capillary. And what happens in the space a lot of times is that proteins and water and different toxins start to bond together. And once everything gets really bonded, that's kind of an inflammatory condition in and of itself. And once that happens, the lymph capillary cannot absorb that fluid anymore because it only has room to absorb one molecule at a time. And so the machine, once it touches your skin, it repolarizes your fluid, which means it makes those bonds individual again. And once that happens, we set that machine down and then we use our manual technique, and it is significantly more effective having used the machine first. And then all of that fluid is just ready to be processed into the lymph and through the system.
That's incredible. This is kind of a side note, but after somebody's had that type of a treatment, what do you recommend they do? Like post, like right after the treatment, do you have suggestions for them?
I do have, and when they, when I have a client come in, I give them a little client aftercare sheet. But in general, I would say definitely rest, because if it's their first time coming in, they may experience a few symptoms of detox, nothing major, but it is possible. And I will say I work with people on the first time to make sure that they don't detox too hard. We're not giving people, a 10 out of 10 on the first day. However, after treatment, lots of water, rest if your body tells you to rest, and supporting those 4 drainage pathways. So breathing, eating lots of fiber, all that good stuff.
Okay. I love that. And you have other treatments at your center. So tell us a little bit about like the complementary treatments that you offer.
Yes. So in addition to lymph drainage, we also offer, we offer regular massage, which I hate to say the word regular. I should have said therapeutic massage, because sometimes massage it's what you want, right? It's going to make you feel good. So in addition to those therapies, the lymph drainage and the massage, we offer both craniosacral therapy and myofascial release. And it's kind of cool. I feel like if I had a chance to rename our center, and I felt like being really bold, I would talk about how we really focus on all the different fluids of your body, right? So we've got our lymphatic fluid. Craniosacral focuses on the cerebrospinal fluid in the body, which is the deepest fluid of all the fluids in your body. And then myofascial release focuses on the fascia, which is that interconnected web of fluid and connective tissue that is also that interstitial space that the lymph absorbs from. So the integrity of all of these types of fluid in our body is so important for overall health and lymphatic health, that it is really nice to have these supportive therapies, right? Because sometimes people are really congested in their lymphatic system. Sometimes people are more congested in the fascia, right? So which kind of like feeds the lymphatic system. So we got to open that first. And the machine helps with that. But sometimes, an actual therapy targeted to fascia is what's ideal. So we offer those other hands-on therapies. And then we also have a really cool device called the Flowpresso therapy suit. I know you got to try it, right?
Yes.
Okay.
I loved
Yes.
it.
And it is so fun. It's like a full body compression suit, and it uses infrared. So the compression is very gentle and kind of sequential. And so it is designed to support detoxification and downregulate the nervous system. And, I see it so much in my practice. Some people are definitely able to relax, but other people just have a really hard time really relaxing and letting go. So the Flowpresso suit is really great for people who have a harder time relaxing while they're getting body work, because it is a solo experience. It's like one of our practitioners will put you in the suit, and then we'll lower the lights. We can put music on if you want, and you really just get this chance to kind of go within and experience kind of like a 40-minute hug. It's really wonderful.
I was so relaxed afterwards. I'm one of those people who don't really fall asleep during treatments, but I think I nodded off during that one and I just felt really, really relaxed for the rest of the day. And then I also did the myofascial and that was amazing. And I think my fascia must be congested because I released something that day and I fell asleep, which was interesting because it's a different experience than a massage. It's for sure. Like I had never had anything like that, but I felt so amazing that afterwards. And I was shocked I
Mhm.
fell asleep too.
Yeah, it's so funny when you go to massage school, there's people that like fall asleep every time you work on them. And, technically you're not supposed to fall asleep because you're a student. You're supposed to stay awake and give feedback, but it happens. But I was someone who never once fell asleep in this, year and a half program. And then when I took my first lymph drainage course, which was not long after that, it was a 6-day course, and I could not stay awake for the life of me
Oh my
just
gosh.
because just so to your point that sometimes these different body work techniques really get you, right? They kind of put you in that different state that you're not expecting, and you do fall asleep. So yeah, I'm so glad.
It's amazing. And I don't know, I almost felt like something was definitely released because I just felt different afterwards. And that's something that I'm definitely going to come back and do on a regular basis because I know that, and there's such great feedback from after my massage. It was like, this is happening in your body, things that like I had no idea. You guys are so experienced and you have so much great feedback and things that we can work on. And it's amazing. So why don't you tell us about your place? Like where can people find you? Of course, I will link all of this in the show notes, and also we'll make sure everyone follows you on Instagram.
Yeah, so we are Lymph Light Wellness Center. We are located in Tustin, and we've been in Tustin on and off for about over a decade. So it's me and my husband, and we have another therapist, Amanda, and all of us have over 10 years of experience doing what we're doing. So we really take pride in not only kind of knowing what we're doing, but also really just creating a very heart-centered, welcoming space for everyone where everyone feels welcome. And yeah, so our website, I know you'll link the website and
I'll link it all.
everything.
Yeah.
So yeah, and our Instagram, we are fairly new on Instagram, so we would love some love.
I love your
I
Instagram
don't
too
know.
because you really give these little bite-sized informational pieces that I love so much. And everyone, if you're in Southern California, definitely check Jenna out. You are in good hands at your clinic. It's an amazing place. And I just want to thank you so much for being on the show today.
Thank you so much for having me.
Thank you for listening to this week's episode. Please subscribe and review so we can reach more people who want to learn to glow alongside us. See you next time.